Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. Well, House Democrats, they are calling members of Congress back from recess, planning a Saturday vote to block new cost-cutting measures that are aimed at the U.S. Postal Service. Meanwhile, the new U.S. Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, has agreed to testify before a House panel. Joining us now to discuss and break this all down, Olivia Beavers, who is the congressional reporter at The Hill. Olivia, great to speak with you here this afternoon. What may be revealed from DeJoy's testimony?
Well, Democrats are very excited to find out what was his motivation behind certain operational changes. In recent days, not recent days, just this year, DeJoy has made changes to the overtime payments that his workers will receive. He's made changes to post office people being able to come back to the same location to make sure mail is delivered on time. And then there's also been decommissionings of ballot counters and all sorts of other things that Democrats want to ask, why are you doing this in election year? And some are even going so far as to accuse him of trying to help Trump by these actions that they say are trying to hurt the speed of mail coming in.
And so we're also going to be watching closely because the House is going to vote perhaps as early as this Saturday on a proposal to block plans to overhaul the Postal Service. And so that's why this becomes that much more significant. So particularly, we've seen the Trump administration in the past block some of their own perhaps annexed figures that they've put in place in certain departments from testifying. Could that be even happening here? Could that happen here?
I mean, certainly you see this happen at different points during especially the impeachment earlier this year. It does seem like just since it's a week away that this is going to be voluntary, but he will possibly also just decline to answer certain questions and say that this is privileged information like we've seen in the past. But as you pointed out, this is also really important timing because Democrats, the Committee on Oversight is coming back on Saturday. And they're going to be voting basically to prevent the DeJoy from making any additional changes to the services and operations at USPS just before they hear from him. So, you really see Democrats kind of putting on the pressure, and they didn't want to wait until September. It seemed like something that they wanted to get a move on months before the election because they're worried this will have a huge impact.
And so what is the public perception of Congress calling members back from recess?
Well, it's certainly rare, and it adds to this political sense that Democrats are taking this seriously and they're fighting and they're leaving their August recess early to come back. And so it adds a whole different layer. In the past, I've seen Democrats and Republicans come back if they had a high-profile witness or if there's a major issue like the coronavirus bill that they want to get passed, stuff like that is pressing. And so this just shows that there is a major movement among Democrats to get something done and to show that they're fighting USPS to make sure that it's functioning well ahead of the election.
We still don't have any deal on unemployment benefits, as we are well past the July 31st deadline at this point. Can we expect a bipartisan agreement on this?
Ben, that's the $1 million question right now. For a while, we thought that Democrats and the White House and Senate Republicans were coming together on this. And it's even more important in this topic that we're discussing because Democrats were pushing for billions of dollars for USPS, nearly $25 billion. And the White House has come back and said they'll do $10 billion. So even on not even coronavirus related relief, it would be in the package, but for USPS alone, there were differences in how much they wanted to include for funding. So, it doesn't seem like they've had any breakthroughs, and the summit is not in at the moment. So it probably is going to be a little while before we see anything, but political pressure always seems to change the calculus and how the Senate and House operate.
Yeah, it could be a roughly $2 trillion question, huh? We'll be watching closely for that. We do want to play this clip, though, for our viewers, as Trump is once again going after Amazon. Let's take a brief listen.
One of the things the post office loses so much money on is delivering packages for Amazon and these others. Every time they deliver a package, they probably lose $3 or $4. That's not good. They have to raise those prices. Okay. not for the people to pay, but for Amazon and those companies to pay.
We've already had announcements from UPS and FedEx that going on later this year, they're going to have to raise prices during the holiday season. For the president, though, he continues to go after Amazon as a reasoning for why he is going against the USPS here. What do you make of that entire relationship? And is it framed correctly, or is there a different way that we should be thinking about it?
Well, it definitely gets convoluted. The president has taken issue with Jeff Bezos, who's also apart from Amazon, he also runs the Washington Post. And so that I think has factored into him convoluting USPS with Amazon. And what we don't really know the deal that the USPS has with Amazon, but these are financially beneficial deals that are made with the government to help with shipping. So, I mean, for him to say that there's an economic loss, that's something that we just don't have that information to verify. And in addition, framing shipping in terms of Amazon is not really going to be focusing the debate on what about the ballots. There
Sure.
are possible issues that are being raised about ballots being received on time, especially if there are millions of more mail-in vote ballots compared to previous elections. And so that's kind of just diverting the primary issue that we should be focusing on at the
Sure.
moment.
And speaking of issues that we should be focusing on in any normal convention week, this would be the time that many Americans try to understand and get their heads around what the Democratic mission is, what the plans are for the party, how they see their ticket faring against the Republican ticket that's going to have their convention in the following week. And so as we're thinking about this, we're talking about the Postal Service. How much is that taking away from the ability for the DNC to really focus in on their plans in this 2020 election?
I don't think it's detracting that much from their plans in the election. I think they're actually using it as a campaign messaging, saying that the president doesn't want your votes to be received. He's trying to curtail the election to help himself by using DeJoy. Two Democrats on the Judiciary Committee are actually alleging that DeJoy is trying to help the president by slowing down these ballots. So they're definitely using the president's stance on USPS, him attacking mail-in ballots, to say you're trying to suppress the vote. And through my reporting on Capitol Hill, we've talked to Republicans, and they're actually worried that the president is not going to suppress votes from Democrats. He's going to suppress votes from Republicans. And some recent polls have started to suggest that maybe his messaging might actually be hurting him come November.
Wow. Olivia Beavers, who's the congressional reporter at The Hill, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.